Hello and welcome again to the Comp 1000 instructional videos. My name is Mark Avery and this is video number 27A. And again, when you hear a letter after the number, that means there's more than one video needed to cover the material. And the material in this case is the Excel Unit B project. It's going to take us two videos, 27A and 27B, to cover everything. Okay, so let's get started. We will cover steps 1 through 5 in this first video, 27A, and those tasks will be copying and pasting a range using the right click, in other words using your right mouse button, using autofill for a range, something that we did in the Excel Unit A video, but we will revisit autofill. We will select a multi-row, multi-column range. In other words, we're going to show how you select a big amount of data. We're going to use the quick analysis tool. We're going to copy and paste using the control button, whereas previously in the first task that I mentioned, we're going to copy and paste using the right mouse button. I'm also going to show you how to copy and paste using the control button on your keyboard. We are going to enter a formula, and we're going to do something called absolute value, and that'll take us through this first half of the Excel Unit B project. So off we go. You see that I have a spreadsheet here on the screen, Buck's Soup House, and apparently what we're doing is we're analyzing some feedback on a customer survey or something like that. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is to select and copy the contents of a range and paste it to another range. You'll do this in steps 1 and 4 of your Excel Unit B project. So let's do this. Let's copy everything from A5 down to A10. So how do I do that? And where we're going to put it, we're going to copy this and we're going to put it right here from A14 down to A19. Okay, so how do we do that? First, we need to select A5 through A10. So I left click and hold, drag down to A10 and release my left mouse button. Okay. Now I'm going to go back, because in this case I want to show you how you do this using the right mouse button. So I go back after I've done that, and I get in the middle of this range, A5 through A10, and I right click one time. And you see that the word copy is right there in that little menu that drops down. So I left click on copy. Where do I want to start this? I want to start this on A14. So I right click while my insertion point, the little plus symbol here, is over A14. I right click, and then I come up here and I click on paste, the very first one. I left click on paste, and see what it did? It left a copy here and it put a new copy there. Okay, to get rid of those blinking lines, you can just go back up here in A5 and I just hit enter while my pointer is over A5. Okay, the next thing, and you're going to do that in steps 1 and step 4 of your Excel Unit B project. So the next thing I need to do is to use autofill, and again, we did autofill in the first video, video 26. Remember, autofill is this little button, this little green box down here in the bottom right hand corner. Well, what we want to do is we want to use autofill to fill in D13. We're going to fill in D13, D4, I'm sorry, E13 and F13 and G13. No, I think it's just these three. D13, E13 and F13, but we're going to use B and C13. Okay, so whenever in your instructions it says something like based on the cell whatever, use autofill, or using, I'll just pick one, K19, do autofill. Well, what we're going to use is the combination of B13 and C13. Okay, and we're going to autofill D13 through F13. So, okay, here's my autofill right here. Okay, I sneak up on it. When it changes to that little plus sign, I click the left button and hold. I drag over to F13 and release. And you see what it did? B13 was 5, C13 was 4, so it's dropping by 1 as we move to the right. So that's what it did. It calculated that for you and said, okay, then D13 must be 1 less than C13. E13 must be 1 less than D. So it did that math for you. Okay, so once again, quickly, let me undo that. And undo button is this little curvy, crooked left arrow here. What did I do? It said to use autofill to fill the cells in range D13 through F13 based on the labels in B13 through C13. Okay, so you have to say, what are you going to use? I'm going to use B13 and C13. I left clicked on B13 and drug over to C13 and released the mouse button. Then I snuck up on this little green box right there. It changes to a plus symbol. I click and hold, and I drag over to F13 and release. And I've just done step 2 of the Excel Unit B project. The next thing we must do is select a large range. In this case, we're going to select the range B5 through G9. Okay, so I click and hold on B5, and I drag all the way down to G9. So that's a large amount of material there, B5 through G9. Okay, then it says use the quick analysis tool. Okay, well, first of all, you're going to select a big range of material in step 3 of your Excel Unit B project. So we've done that. Normally we just select maybe 2 or 3 cells or something. Whenever you're selecting a whole lot of cells, multi-rows and multi-columns, that's what you do. You just click on one, drag down to the last reference, in this case was G9, and I release. Then it says use the quick analysis tool. The quick analysis tool is this little box that pops up. See it right here? I'm going to circle it. I'm kind of going all the way around it. So I click on the quick analysis tool. If I pause long enough, it'll say quick analysis. So I left click on it, and let's read the rest of our instruction. It says use the quick analysis tool to create formulas that will total the values in each column of that range. Okay, so we want to total all of these columns. And it says the formula should use the sum function and should appear in the range B10 through G9. So sum has to do with what? Sum means add. So we want a total. That's of our choices here. We're going to select totals, and there's sum. So when I click on sum, look what it does. Excel already analyzes it and says if he wants to sum something, it must be these columns. Okay, so once again, all I did here was I clicked, and this is step 3 of your Word Unit B project. I clicked on B5, I came down to G9, and I released. And when I did that, this little tool came up. It's called the Quick Analysis tool. I click on it. And my instructions said we want to sum each column. Well, that's a column. You know, B is a column, C is a column, D is a column. So we want to sum. I imagine we're going to put these in B10, C10, D10, E10, F10, and G10. Sum has to do with totals. Sum means totals. It's synonymous with totals. So I click on totals. Sure enough, there's my sum function. And the minute I click on it, it put my totals in there for me. Pretty smart, huh? Okay, and you'll do that in step 3 of your Excel B project. The next thing that we need to do is we want to show you how you copy and paste. Instead of using the right click, I want to show you how you copy and paste a cell using the control button. And you're going to do this in step 4 of your Excel Unit B project. So it says to copy the contents of cell G4 to cell G13. Okay, so I'm going to click away so that I can clear all that off. G4 is right here. It's the word total. So I click there. And instead of right-clicking, which is what we did before, and we left-click on copy, and then we come down here and left-click and then paste. Okay, that does it. But let me show you another way to do this. Okay, whoops, I went too far, didn't I? Oh, gone it. Let me go back and get that. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to left-click on G4, and I'm going to left-click on G4, and then I'm going to sneak up to right in the center. Now, stay away from the corner. We're not doing autofill. We're doing something else. I like to use whatever is the widest, whether it's the sides or the top or the bottom. In this case, the top and the bottom are the widest. So I sneak up to the bottom, and when my pointer changes into that compass-looking thing that's pointing in all directions, I hold down the control key on my keyboard. Okay, I'll hold it down and keep holding it down. Notice how that my my pointer changes to an arrow with a little plus symbol. See it? Let me do it again. Sneak up to the middle, hold down the control button, and there it is. I click my left mouse button, and I move this wherever I want to. I can drop this wherever I want to. Okay? As long as I don't release the control button or my left mouse button, it's just going to keep floating around. Well, I want to put it in G13, so I release both, and there it is. Okay? One more time. To copy this word total and place it here, I sneak up to the middle, it changes to a compass. I hold down the control button on my keyboard, and then I click with my left mouse button and hold it down. I move it to where I want to put it. I put it there and release both, and it'll put that copy right there. You will do that in steps 1 and 4. You'll have the opportunity to do either the right click way of copying and pasting or the control button way of copying and pasting in steps 1 and 4. Now let's enter a formula. In cell F14, I'm going to enter a formula that multiplies the value in F5 by the value in F4. All formulas start with the equal symbol. So I click in F14, which is where I want my formula to go. I hit the equals button, and it said do F5 multiplied by F4. Okay, so F5, the multiplication symbol is the asterisk. It's Shift 8 on your keyboard, or if you have a little numeric keyboard out to the right, sometimes it's right above the number 9 on that, but it's a little asterisk. So I do Shift 8. It was F5 times F4, and I hit enter. Okay. Then it says, and you'll do that in steps 5 and 7 of your Excel B project, entering a formula. But step 5 still has something else. It says use a relative reference to the cell F5 and an absolute reference to F4. Let's go back to where our formula is. See, it's right here in F4, but we go up here to where our formula bar is. To put don't worry about the relative reference. It's written as a relative reference, F5 is. But notice it says an absolute F4. Whenever it says absolute and then a cell address, in our case F4, whenever it says absolute, you want to put a $sign in front of the F and a $sign in front of the 4. Or I shouldn't say, you want to put a $sign in front of the letter and a $sign in front of the number. In our case, it was F4, so it's $sign F, $sign 4. And then I hit enter. Okay? Then it says use autofill to fill the range F15 to F18 using what you created in F14. Remember, whenever it says using, you click on that cell. It says using F14, do autofill. We remember, because we've already done autofill, autofill is this little button down here, this little green box. So I've clicked in F14 because it said using F14. I sneak up on this little box, I click and hold, and I drag down because it said put it in F15 through F19. I'm sorry, F18. Okay, so F15 through F18. I release, and it does my formulas for me. We'll pick up here with video number 27B. We'll talk a little bit about the absolute formula, what we just did, and then we'll complete the last 4 or 5 steps of Excel Unit B project. Thank you.